Hello everyone, this is GoOdy giving you a shoutcast and game 1 in a series. Actually, I'm not going to even call it a real series. Anyways, it's a game 1 or a game between ESC GoOdy versus Todd here on Metalopolis. The reason why I'm not calling it a series is I don't know what this is from, and I don't know some of the other finer details as well as what tournament this is a part of. So anyways, we have Millennium Todd spawning as the blue I can't believe I put Zerg there. I know he's Protoss. Blue Protoss player here at the 12 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have GoOdy spawning as the purple Terran. Terran versus Protoss. Yes, I am trying to get away from the Zerg versus Protoss matches, but that seems to be pretty much all I really find as of late. You can see now an SCV building over here on the front door. Production-wise, nothing out of the ordinary. Both players sticking to that similar build, or that most players use 95% of the time. It will be a little bit of time before we can figure out and start making predictions on what strategies will be used. And regardless of what strategy will be used, I believe they will both be very aggressive here on Metalopolis, as this is an ally spawn. Ally spawn meaning that it's a very short walking distance into your opponent's base. The distance between this ramp and this ramp much closer than a cross spawn, or even on the south side of the map, as the units have to walk around the far way in order to get to their opponent's base. A barracks now being placed down by GoOdy, so GoOdy will have this front door partially sealed by the time this probe comes by. A supply depot is all it's going to be in order to really finish this off, and now Todd going to be able to come up that ramp and start dealing damage towards that SCV, what every Terran player doesn't like to see. Damage on that lone SCV right there, very annoying. SCV has taken some damage, some critical damage. Meanwhile, Todd's only lost 20 shield points and now will be able to run back. A Marine is now being trained out of there. And oh, a supply depot. No supply depot being placed down. GoOdy instead just making its way out with that one SCV, upgrading to an orbital command. I believe that was just a little bit later than normal. Perhaps he was a little bit mineral locked. We now see there's that supply depot that I was talking about earlier. Marine now being trained, looking out on that low ground, perhaps to try to shoot and take down that one probe if that probe does try to come up that ramp. So the Marine now guarding that low ground, and it looks like Todd may end up, no, he's not going to lose that probe, sees the Marine and decides to back off. Back here we do have a Zealot currently being trained, so that Zealot right there and now being trained up. SCV now coming back in, trying to see if it can scout out anything else, but the Zealot will scout him out, and now that SCV needs to run for his mechanical life, otherwise he will get taken down. The cybernetics core is already up, so I assume a stalker will be trained. There it is, now being chrono boosted out. The SCV has to be very careful. Oh, double backing around, doing a very good job, and now that the Zealot may be able to get perhaps one attack on it, not two, and that is enough for that SCV to now escape. I believe it takes 3 attacks in order for it to deal any serious damage, but now GoOdy moving out with 1 Marine, 1 Marauder, and 2 SCVs. So, and this is an early pressure tactic that a lot of Terran players try to use. They try to use their probes, SCVs, to try to absorb some of that damage from those stalkers and that one Zealot there. A probe now making its way down the ramp. It is just going to be a sacrificial kill there. Down goes that probe. So one unit already lost. I believe, yes, a second Zealot now being chrono boosted out, which makes sense as the Zealot is the fastest building unit out of the gateway and comes out 4 seconds faster, but it doesn't have the same range. And now SCV is coming up the ramp, now trying to go get some damage, now going to take down a pylon instead, going to perhaps force Todd to try to come in and try to engage. And now here we go, probes now coming out both sides, engaging back and forth. 2 Marauders able to take down some of those units, and I believe the SCVs have all been taken down, and now Zell is trying to run back up, but no, nicely done by Todd. Todd showing his Warcraft 3 skills, microing and able to take down that last Marine. A Zealot, however, going to get shot down there. The Zealots only take, 9 damage per attack after the shields are gone, because that base 1 armor. So that Zealot, even though it is now finally low on hit points, finally gets taken down there. And now we need a Void Ray to be chrono boosted out. I don't know why the Gateway has the chrono boost. Doesn't make sense at all. The Nexus desperately needs to chrono boost that Void Ray. And oh, the Pylon was taken down. Nicely done by GoOdy. GoOdy shutting down the power to that Stargate, and with no Void Ray nearby, these Marauders are just going to be able to have their way inside this base, especially as this gateway isn't even being upgraded either. Another Pylon going to get cancelled, I believe, or shut down there, as more units are still funneling in. GoOdy making this early aggression pay off by leaps and bounds. and Todd now in trouble. So now using two stalkers, and now one zealot to try to fight back those units. 3 stalkers, or 2 stalkers, and that 1 zealot should be able to hold it off and perhaps just hold it on the ramp. No, goes a little bit too far out, needs to get some damage onto those marauders, and now the marauders are finally taking damage. Go focus on the second low hit point marauder. Another marauder gonna get shot down. It looks like, yeah, the probe may even get a kill, and now it's gonna be 1 probe versus 1 marauder. The difference is that we are gonna be able to warp in zealots and stalkers, though the void ray was canceled. So that's going to be critical, as that void ray was cancelled, meaning that it's going to take even longer for that unit to even come out. Just misplacement by Todd in order to try to save, in order to try to get that void ray out. Perhaps a void ray should be chrono boosted, as there are no more units now currently being warped in. You can see a sentry now trying to come in, and the sentry, will it be able to drop a force field in time? It does. It looks like that 1 sentry will be able to, and that is going to buy a lot of time. GoOdy now massing up, transitioning into multiple racks play. He also has an engineering bay and going for a factory. Nice transition here, and Todd now opting to go for phoenixes in terms of scouting instead of going for that void ray, which is a pretty smart call, especially now that GoOdy already has stim pack, now currently getting the combat shield, concussive shell already completed, and that early aggression by GoOdy did slow down his opponent. But is it going to be enough? If you take a look at the losses tab, you can see that Todd definitely lost a lot more, and adding to his losses, as there is 1 missile turret, they are hiding behind the back of the mineral line. So still really well done, and we'll see how this game will continue. A robotics facility now being warped in as well, a lot of sentries and a lot of stalkers. So Todd opting to try to go for a zealot, stalker, sentry to wall off and be able to hold off any early marines and SCVs and marauders, and it looks like he's going to have to do just exactly that, as we now see another gateway being warped inside the back of the base. More zealots being added in here, and now 1 SCV trying to walk in, quickly sees that there are a lot of zealots there, and now trying to back off even further. Stargate really not doing anything at all, hasn't trained any additional units, as those marines and marauders are over here. Marauder now down on that low ground as well. Taking a look, we have an observer currently being trained, and not much really happening in this game. Both players, GoOdy waiting to do this attack and perhaps waiting for those medevacs. As soon as those medevacs are out, I believe this push will come in, but we also have a robotics bay being warped in as well, and as soon as that robotics bay comes in, we should also be getting some colossus. Those colossus, if they're able to make their way out, should be able to deal a lot of damage. The marines and marauders were on the move. Todd's observer was able to spot them. No scanner sweep just quite yet. The observer just needs to sit still and then keep track of this army. So if those units try to come into the base, they're going to quickly be revealed. The medevacs, where are they? I believe the medevacs are now on their way, so they could try to do some drop play. There is no Colossus being trained just quite yet. I don't know why the robotics bay I thought was already completed. No, Todd on top of it, getting a Colossus there. So we are now getting what will be the defensive attack now. Todd now trying to make sure, are we going to get a force field on the ramp? There we go. There's that force field, causing GoOdy to waste some stim pack, and now that medevac has to be very careful where it drops. It cannot drop anywhere just needlessly or blindly, otherwise it is going to get shot down by those sentries. So another force field may come in just a moment, as those medevacs do not have enough to be able to lift up anything. And as soon as the robotics facility is up, are we going to get another force field? The medevacs and units, and now we can get that force field. There we go, splitting apart those units. Zealots now trying to engage. Guardian shield is up, and now in comes the Colossus. Colossus quickly making short work out of those marines there. And now the GoOdy's units will be forced to pull back. And now we should be also getting the extended thermal lance range at some point. Otherwise, Todd is going to have a difficult time to try to engage. In the meantime, GoOdy has tried to set up an expansion here at the gold mineral location on the south side of the map. He could get a strong economic advantage if that does get up in time. But now, Todd with sentries, zealots, and Colossus may be able to mass up and get enough units off of one base in order to try to counter his opponent. Especially with 4 sentries in the mix, These sentries have a decent amount of energy, and I believe 2 of them are almost at maximum energy, and then 2 of them have enough for at least 1 and 2 force fields each almost by the time the next engagement does happen. There are some Vikings now in the air, only 2 Vikings though, so 2 Vikings to counter the 2 Colossus. It rarely ever works out that, yeah, 2 Colossus, it rarely ever works out that a 4 food army is able to counter a 12 food army, as by the time the Colossus get taken down, the rest of the Marines and Marauders would probably be dead, and the Stalkers should be able to just finish up those couple of Vikings in the air. And SCV now on that low ground, keeping track as a drop coming into the backside of the base. The Marines are relatively low on, or do have 1 stim pack already used between them, so that is going to be a rather weak drop. GoOdy perhaps trying to take his time. He wants to be able to micro that group there as Todd now warps in another pylon. The medevac just dancing around, not doing much. There is now a decent sized army here, and perhaps if GoOdy is able to do a front door pressure, he may be able to get some drops into the back of the base. But no, the Phoenix is able to now spot this medevac, and the medevac needs to try to perhaps drop those units. That medevac is going to get shot down right there. The Stalkers, Colossus, SCV is now coming in. That medevac is going to get shot down. The Marines are all going to die as well, and 2 of the Marines getting killed before they're even able to leave that medevac. And the losses are now starting to even up. In terms of income, though, we still have GoOdy with the superior income, but now Todd has the superior army. He has the higher tech units. He has Colossus with the extended thermal lance range, what is essentially a tier 3 or tier 3.5 unit, and this is going to become very, very difficult for these units to try to hold off. Zealots and sentries now moving out. Force fields, no, not yet, just using Guardian shields, multiple Guardian shields, plus the natural armor on those Zealots and Stalkers, making it very easy. And the Colossus are going to get finished off by those Vikings, but it's not going to matter, I believe, as the Zealots and the Stalkers have finished up the rest of the ground army. And there we go, Stalkers finishing up the rest of this fight here, going to be able to take down this command center, getting a force field off. And now the Colossus will be able to just barrel their way through that force field. Nicely done. And once again, oh, this one Colossus needs to pull back, has to be very, very careful. Viking now trying to go after some Colossus blood, but is not going to be able to deal enough damage. There are a lot of SCVs and Marines over here. That one Colossus racking up the damage now. Medevac's trying to heal, but the Stalker army here, it should be enough. And Todd able to fight back this attack here, finish off a lot of Marauders and Marines, and now taking down some of the production buildings as well. This is never a good sight, as the Marauders now need SCVs in order to try to fend off this attack. There is an expansion here, but GoOdy is desperately in trouble, and I believe GoOdy will be saying GG in just a moment. So yeah, there's the GG by GoOdy. A shout out or a request to the people at sc2replays.net for a couple replays. You guys were really, really good about putting the advertisement on the advertisement of the website after the GG. If you guys could go ahead and continue to do that, that'd be great, as it doesn't spoil any information for me, since I don't know the length of the game and I have the little timer here. Anyways, I don't know, sc2replays.net is a Chinese website that my wife helps me navigate, and I don't even think they listen to my casts. Well, 可以讲国语, but my 国语 is really bad. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between GoOdy and Todd here on Metalopolis.